It's the small things, the little things that we build our trust in God in, our trust in the Lord. And they may not be little things to you, but my little thing might be a big thing to you. And your little thing might be a big thing to me. But it's the things that they may have an impact temporarily on our daily lives, but they're not things that are, gonna uproot our lives. And it's trusting Him in those things, the daily functionalities, the daily activities, however they break down, whatever they break down to. And we walk with Him through them, sometimes with fear and trembling. And He shows Himself faithful, shows Himself true. Not always in the way that we hope, not always in the way that we're thinking He will, but in a way that supersedes our understanding, that goes beyond the intellect of man and goes into His mind and His understanding. Now, I'd be a fool to say I understand those things. And I think anyone, honestly, who says that they do fully is probably not being very honest. That's just my thoughts on that. And so when we're staring down the barrel of a situation and it presents different levels of stress and friction in our life, it's an opportunity for us to reposition ourselves. Sometimes that's to ask for help and walk into that level of vulnerability. Sometimes it's to hunker down, stay silent, and trust. And every situation will be different. But He can be trusted. The Lord can be trusted. And it's through that trust and those situations that greater levels of trust and stronger faith is established and blossoms. And we walk into living out faith without works is dead. But now we have applied the works, the walking it out, so faith is alive. And it's alive in you. The problem with all that is then something else will come along. And that's where we get our testimony. Well, I already know He's done this. And I already know He's done that. So if He's done this and He's done that, and it should be your testimony. I'm gonna tell you right now, because that faith that's needed comes by hearing, and hearing by the Word alone. And it's when you're able to go, his good works is His Word in your life. It's the history. of your life. And when we can go back and recount that, it builds the faith that is necessary to keep moving forward, to keep doing what is needed. So whatever that situation may be, look for God's purpose in it. Because it serves a greater purpose. All things work together for the good of those who love him, who follow him. Not who's perfect, but those who love him. And he works it all out for our good. I would love if you could tell me a story of his faithfulness, of his goodness. I'll tell you one of mine. A number of years ago, I was driving home from LA. I lived in San Diego. I was in a friend's rap music video. And I was driving home, and I could just hear the faint whisper of God. Don't move into that apartment that you're thinking about. And he was talking about, I was getting ready to take over a lease for a friend in an apartment because where I was living wasn't conducive to, well, living. And so, and I just, with that, there was a knowing and understanding that I needed to wait to the beginning of the coming year. Now, my linear way of thinking was like, oh, tax return and move-in specials and all this other stuff. And I had no idea what God had in store. I knew I had to tell the person that I wasn't going to take over their lease. So I called, hey man, I know this is going to sound weird, but I really believe the Lord spoke to me and told me not to take over your lease, that he has a different plan. And so if he's telling me this, I know he's going to take care of you. And that's pretty much all I did. Just tell him that. And I could tell he wasn't very excited about it. Understandably so. I wouldn't have been either. And some time had passed. A couple of friends got together. We were going to get an apartment together. And I get a call from somebody at my church that I attended. And they said, hey, I heard you and such are getting a place. We have a bunch of stuff that we need to get rid of. We're going to be moving to Minnesota. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll come by. And I come over, and they got an entire 2-bedroom apartment full of, 10 years worth of stuff or however long they'd lived there. Incredibly expensive beds. Now, I didn't have anything. I didn't have a fork to move into this new apartment that I was about to move into. And I was like, well, like, they said everything that's in this corner right here is going with us. Everything else is up for grabs. And I said, that's awesome. Like, I know this person needs this and that and so on and so forth. And like, how much for this? And they said, oh no, you're not paying for anything. We're gonna give it to you for free. You just got to pay for the moving. Like, you just have to move it. Like, however you're doing that, you just got to move it. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah. And it was like electric reclining, love seat. Didn't even know they made those at the time. There was a projector, Emeril Lagasse, like, cookware set, all these different things. Very nice items, just given to me. Some time had passed, and I ended up talking to the friend whose lease I was going to take over. And I said, hey, I'm real sorry about that. And he goes, no, actually, it really worked out, because I was going to lose a lot of money if I let you take over the lease. But because you didn't, and the transition that we had, I ended up making money on the whole situation. So it really worked out for the better for me. And I was like, really? Well, that's really awesome to hear. So that's my story of God's goodness, of His faithfulness. Let me hear yours.